Getting Real with Zeke Thomas podcast, episode number 12, everybody. Classic rock in the form of podcasts. This episode features sex healer Aspen Coywolf. It originally appeared on the Ozzy Cobb Network feed way back in May of this year and featured the talents of my good friend and brother from another mother, Jarrett Sleeper. And it features all the gold that lives in his head as well as all the terror. Anyways, be sure to check out the episode. Stay for this long-ass intro. But it's definitely worth your time, especially if you want to know the inner workings and how to become a sex healer. Thank you for everyone who's now watching and listening to this podcast on YouTube. Welcome aboard. If you're also on iTunes or listening to it there, appreciate if you would hit subscribe, and let's grow that fan base. Thank you for everyone who's been sharing the podcast with your friends and your enemies. You know the drill. Hit subscribe on iTunes and be sure to grab your friend's phone and do the exact same thing. It costs you nothing. Nothing! Please be sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at Getting Real Zeke, where you can get all the latest Getting Real with Zeke Thomas news, including new episodes, BTS pictures, and a sneak peek at who is coming up next on the podcast. Also, don't forget to friend, follow, like, and subscribe to all my personal social network things, including Zeke is Awesome on Twitter, Instagram, Zeke Thomas is Rad, Facebook, Zeke is Awesome, Periscope, Zeke Thomas, Snapchat, Zeke Thomas is Rad. If you need that YouTube fix, be sure to hit subscribe on both Murderbot Productions and Black Box TV. And if you can't get enough there of videos and everything else, you can also go to the newly redesigned ZekeThomas.com. You can also write the show. info@ZekeThomas.com. If you have an Android or a iOS device, download Go90 and check out The Fourth Door. As of this recording, we are up to episode number 9. 9 times. Be sure to check it out. That comes from the brains of Jarrett Sleeper and Tony Valenzuela, and you should totally check it out. Other things that are cooking, besides all the goodness that is happening at ZekeThomas.com, you can also sign up for my free new media newsletter, where I write a personal article once a month, included on there. And I also include a bunch of links to people you should know, things you should be watching, and people you should be listening to that will sort of elevate and hopefully help you hack the new media game as far as getting ahead, looking at industry trends, and just some general advice from someone who's been doing it. It's time to start your oming session and get to messing, because we're about to get real with sex healer Aspen Coywolf. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Getting Real with Zeke Thomas podcast. Today we have a very special guest. I want to welcome my friend Aspen Coywolf.
Namaste.
Namaste to you as well, my friend. Welcome to the podcast. And I don't want to step on your intro too much. So If you would, please describe for our listeners exactly what you do and how you do it.
Right. Well, the blanket statement would be that I am a healer. I like to heal human beings. They say hurt people, heal people. Well, I was a very hurt person, and I healed myself, and now I heal others sexually, mostly. A sex healer. I mean, mostly a sex healer.
So one could say that you are a sex healer.
That's very accurate. Yes. The God in me recognizes and bows to the God in you. Namaste. I'm a sex healer.
Excellent. Obviously, we don't want to dance around the fact that you are a sex healer, and in fact, that's why I invited you onto the podcast. Outside of my yoga class, I saw you were passing out flyers to your next seminar,
right.
And we sort of struck up a conversation just because I was fascinated by the concept of sexual healing.
Yeah.
What's a typical seminar? I mean, do you go in seminars or classes? Is it like a 7-week class, or how does it work?
Well, there's a lot of ways. I mean, the seminar is a great way to introduce people to the basic concepts. Of course, once you get into it in the higher levels, a lot of one-on-one work is crucial. I work with couples or thruples sometimes. I can, at the highest levels of dedication, I will enter a couple's relationship, and we will become a throuple for a period of time, and that can last as long as they can afford me, really. But you can get a lot of benefits, I believe, in the sex work just from a seminar, because a lot of it is about restructuring the way we approach the world around us, redefining orgasm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's really about taking life is full of hard edges.
Okay.
Life is a tough, scary place to go out into. And, sex can be a difficult and penetrative thing, almost by definition. Yet a female energy will take that penetration and turn it into something very pleasurable. So if you take that as a metaphor for how you approach life, really, we're trying to redefine. Most of us in the patriarchy, we exist with a very masculine sense of orgasm. It's if you picture a chart, it would be it kind of goes up, like the tension increases. We reach that point, and then drops off back to nothing, back to this emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
A female orgasmic pattern, a yin pattern, is much more in waves. Oh, that kind of a thing. And if you can take that, which is also, again, about receiving, and the world is all about penetration. Oh, here's traffic. Here's a $5 footlong. Here's pop-up ads on your computer you need to block, all entering your life. If you can reapproach the world around you with a more yin energy and just let it penetrate you in a way that swallows and envelopes and draws pleasure from it, then you can ride that wave all day long from the moment you wake up.
What you're trying to say is there is a way to look at traffic, advertising,
anything,
billboards, and look at it as a way of constituting pleasure, of creating pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Cell phone signals, cell phone calls. For me, I definitely keep here's a little trick. Just leave your phone on the buzzer. Don't put it in your pocket. Put it in your pants. And when it's on vibrate, you'll get a little call. Right there, right in your lower chakras and your dantian. It'll get a little jolt and it'll remind you, oh, hey, I'm alive. I'm a human. I'm electric. I can feel things.
I'm still an animal. I'm connected to myself.
That's right. It's right. Exactly. Well, see, then there's that whole aspect of it also, the just heightened sensuality of life. In a lot of ways, we all have a lot of trauma to heal from.
Mm-hmm.
That's, like I said, I'm a healer. It's about healing. It's not some shtick. It's not about getting high. It's not about coming, even in a metaphorical sense. It's about riding those waves. It's about a more sensual approach to your life. It's about being in touch with the universe around you so that anything can become orgasm just through presence. The way an animal, like you said, an animal would just, its pads. I like to imagine in my meditations, my last name is Coywolf. I imagine I am a coy wolf. It's a coyote-wolf hybrid. They're very successful in urban areas, which is part of the reason I was given the name. I like to imagine I have pads, and I just am feeling the soil in my pads. The soil is penetrating my pads, and I'm one with that earth and that system. I'm looking for something hot and wet like blood to put into my mouth, and I derive a lot of pleasure and connection from that, and it's about approaching your world that way. When you have your morning coffee, what is another hot liquid that you put in your mouth and would make you much happier? The juices of a lover, perhaps? If we imagine the hot liquids of earth, whether they're in the form of Starbucks coffee or rain from the sky is just God jizzing on you. And you can draw a lot of pleasure from that in that moment. You wouldn't just want to get jizzed on in your normal day. As a normal person, and I hate to use the term normal, I should say, in her normal slumber. But once you're awakened by a good sexual healing, you're living this orgasmic lifestyle. In those heightened moments, getting jizzed on your face can be very nice. And so then we can approach that. Now these things that penetrate us out of nowhere, it's never out of nowhere. You're already in foreplay with the universe.
So do you sort of draw a line in the sand between people who have experienced sexual healing or have and everybody else?
It's certainly not a line in the sand. A line in the sand sounds... A line in the sand, the connotations are so bold. They're so violent. It's a challenge. And I would more think of it as a threshold, that it's a choice, and that any one of us, through simple breathing and presence and consciousness, can choose to join the awakened members of the population. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
We just have a lot of, the society benefits from our enslavement or slavery to these norms, are avoiding oneness because, it's benefits them to keep us chasing that stick, saying, hey, you can't be happy. You can't be living in orgasm at all times because they think nothing would get done. The irony, of course, is that when you're living you're happy all the time. Happy, healed people are much more productive. I mean, imagine if we mandated orgasm breaks in the cubicles, how much more work would get done? You're not just pent up all day. You're happy. You're working. You have a little orgasm break and back to work.
What would you say? Well, I mean, is that true? I mean, I would just think that sometimes, with like prize fighters or people that take part in high-level sports, they will often avoid sex in preparation for a big game.
For power.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think about that? I mean, does that run counterintuitive to your thoughts on sexual healing?
Sure. Well, the yin-yang energies are always going to be in battle with each other.
Sure.
I like to think of it elementally. A fighter would be approaching life as rock, as earth, as fire. The yin orgasmic approach, this watery one, this flow like water, as Bruce Lee said, that's much more orgasmic. That's a much more sexual approach to the universe. And what happens when you throw a rock into water? It sinks. What happens when you throw fire into water? It gets put out. So I find the fighters that just fuck constantly tend to come out on top.
That's true.
There's a lot more swagger to them in the cage because they're comfortable in their skin.
Right.
Because among wolves, for instance, I don't know if you knew this, wolves, only the alpha mates. All the rest of the wolves that don't mate, are all considered betas, and they're happy about it. They're completely content. That's a difference between wolves and domesticated dogs. So if you think of it that way, the alpha, the one who's mating, is the alpha. So if you take that as a metaphor for your life, constantly mating with the universe, constantly in sexual contact with everything that you see or touch or feel or breathe, I don't know how you could interpret it any other way, but that would make you you are the alpha wolf.
You are the most alpha of anybody.
Constantly fucking.
Got it.
The only one allowed to.
So, I mean, that's sort of the enlightened state, is to be constantly fucking the universe.
That's absolutely correct. That's
or getting fucked. I mean, do you differentiate?
It's a back and forth. No. No. It's a loop. I imagine.
It's a virtuous circle of fucking.
The energy of my fuck that comes from my sacral chakras goes forth into the universe and loops back down into the earth, through the cold breezes, the whatever, perhaps the loves, and right back up into my anus. And it's this loop. It's this consistent. It's a constant energy machine. What do you call it? The cat that you throw in the physics principle.
The perpetual motion machine.
Yeah, you know the one. There's you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yes. Can't think of it right now.
The cat. You know, what is it called?
I really don't know. I've always known about it as a perpetual motion.
There's
machine.
perpetual, yeah.
But is that a variation of either way?
Doesn't matter. Cat, pussy, whatever.
Of course.
See, that's what I'm saying. Is it's all right there in front of your face. Sometimes you try not to. We're trying to talk about physics and philosophical principles, and they're the tricks of language. Talking about pussy.
Right there.
Okay, it keeps spinning. And of course we all have our own version of a pussy, but I'm just saying, so constantly fucking. It's a cycle, it's a circular act, the yin and yang. Once you're in tune, you're fucking, you're being fucked, and you don't really differentiate anymore. You're just in flow. There's
just going to be another day, another cycle when you are providing the fucking,
That's right.
or within the next cycle, getting fucked.
That's right. And, I think it's interesting to look at the language that we've bastardized all these senses of this extremely intimate sensual act. Oh, fuck you. I've gotten fucked at work today. Suck my dick. Whatever. What have you. Really getting bent over on this one.
Yeah, but we just had a young lady in here talking about a legal contract, about how the contract was essentially bending her over and fucking her in the ass.
Right, and we use it to mean negative things. So it's a reclamation of power, of identity, to say, excuse me, I like fucking. I love the physical act of love, and therefore I like the metaphysical act of lovemaking, of mating. I'm going to enjoy this ride, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally follow you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about. I want to get to know more about where you came from and how you came to embody everything that is, a sex healer. Because I don't know. I don't know too many people that are sex healers.
We're not. I wouldn't say we're a dying breed. Much in the artisanal food movement, a lot of that is coming back.
It's a little bit of a revival, but at the same time, it's still. Listen, if you live outside of the west side of Los Angeles, it's going to be few and far between.
Well, I grew up in Tucson, Arizona. If you've ever been to Arizona, it's a fucking garbage hole. It's just...
It's a shit bag is what that is.
So bad. And the defining factor of it is that it is dry. Mm-hmm. It is bone dry. Dry as a desert. Because it's a desert.
Literal desert.
Quite literally. And that energy is just... What it took was I wound up in my, wandering youth in the Pacific Northwest. And you couldn't be somewhere that is more wet. I mean, Mother Earth is a squirter, Up there, it is just wet all the time. And it was there that my eyes started to open. I said, why would we live in this? Why dry? You want to see this moisture, again, this water element. It became a big part of my life. That's why I wear these rings, sapphire, aquamarine, turquoise, to bring the water, even in the rock, into my life.
Yeah, your rings your jewelry collection as a whole is rather impressive.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. It's very, it's connected to my chakras. It's connected to the spirit. And like I said, the elements that I need to bring into my life. For me, it was water. Mm-hmm. Growing up somewhere so dry, I was very angry. I had, it was a tough time in my family growing up with father and drugs. And
what did your parents do?
My father was a lawyer,
mm-hmm.
But he was a dirty lawyer. He was a real criminal. And he worked for a lot of the drug dealers in the area, which were mostly from Mexican cartels. And so there was a lot of threat of violence and violence going on around us. I can't really go into the details of it.
Fair enough, of course.
Personally incriminating things I had to do, mostly before I was 18. And...
did your mother have to work? Or
Mom wasn't really in the picture. I don't know what happened to mother, as far as I can tell, was something of a gypsy, a showgirl, something like that. And she was gone early on, which is probably part of my intense attraction and need that I discovered later in life for this yin energy, this female energy. I've gained so much benefit in my life from really embodying this female sexual structure in the way I enter the world, despite having a big fucking dick.
That never hurts.
It can hurt, actually. It just hurts sometimes.
Oh, okay.
But we work it.
Sure, of course. So what point did you realize that you wanted to become a sexual healer?
It wasn't so much desire as a necessity. Like I said, I'm sorry, I get on tangents. So I found myself in the Pacific Northwest, and I was doing mushrooms, and I met this shaman in the woods. They grow mushrooms up there if you go to the right areas. And his name was Two Rivers, and Two was just a great guy. He moved up around there in the 60s, and we just kept doing shrooms together. And he had the softest hands and energy that I'd ever been around. And this is a rugged bear of a man. I mean, just barrel. Think of Zangief from Street Fighter. And he would dress like that a lot of the time, too, despite the weather. He just didn't like wearing clothes, but he was a hairy guy, so he could deal with it.
But he had the nice wrestling boots and Speedo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he wore these, they were really just more galoshes for him. It was raining all the time in the woods.
But he was a barrel-chested,
huge.
Giant human being, but
Iron Sheik, but not Iranian. And like, Zangief.
Yeah, of course. But for some reason he had really soft hands.
Yeah, he just moisturized a lot.
Oh, okay.
And as we got into discussion of that, eventually I learned. I mean, I have very soft hands also. It wasn't that he wasn't. He had the strength of a bear. masturbation is really important to sexual healing and the laying on of hands. There's actually a lot to support in the religious texts that were used to, that have been, taken by the patriarchy, by the puritanical society around us, to mean other things. They've been sort of whitewashed, if you will, of all their earthy, pagan sort of earth magic, sex healing undertones. The laying on of hands is actually considered by many sex healers to have been one of our practices today, which is basically just masturbating people, but in a sort of a religious, meditative concept, a spiritual practice.
Sure. So not so much of as a medical thing, but much more of as a connection. Masturbating people is a way to connect.
As a way to connect, as a way to exercise sometimes spirits and issues, that blockages they have, help them with that, help them restructure their orgasmic chart, their sort of understanding of how that pattern works. Just unblock and free things and try out new stuff. You got to touch a lot of genitals, a lot of prostates, a lot of clits, and with that you need soft hands.
How many?
You lose track. You lose count.
We're talking thousands.
I mean,
tens of thousands.
I mean,
hundreds of thousands.
I'll tell you what. When you're training, I mean, it's
you got to log your
Karate
hours.
Kid. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just that's what glory holes are for.
Okay.
Dicks just come through there and
you take care of business.
take care of them. It's healing. It's laying on of hands. Mother Teresa would do no different.
You know what? I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're 100% right.
You know what? Human beings need touch. We need touch. We need intimacy.
We do. We all need that. Now,
and it's not sexual. It's not. I should explain. It's not. It's erotic. It's sexual. It's sex healing. But it's not sexual in the way we understand it.
What do you mean?
Concepts such as gay or straight or any of this kind of thing. It's possessiveness. It's not really. I mean, if I fuck somebody's wife, for instance, in my work, of course, people who are still attached to the old ways sometimes get angry. They'll get violent. There's certain state. That's why I left the Pacific Northwest. I'm in Marin County now. They just don't understand. They're unevolved. They're so hurt. They're so blocked up that when you fuck their wives, they just don't really understand what you're getting into. Or fuck their husbands. I mean, either whoever needs it.
Whoever
needs it. Whoever needs the healing.
So you're flexible in that regard.
Oh, of course. I mean, this is what I'm saying. I don't really see gender. I see energy. I see yin and yang.
Okay.
I'm trying to restore balance to whoever needs it.
What sort of energy do you see
going on over here?
Yeah, for me.
I think you're doing all right, but you could probably use a good fucking. Just get some of that energy out of you. I feel that there's a lot of a square jaw. The hairy jaw thing. That's great. But all that yang energy needs to be balanced. And who's taking care of you? Who's fucking the hell out of you? You know what I mean?
Right.
This is the problem a lot of alpha males have, is you do a lot of fucking and you think, how am I going to fill this hole? You literally can't stop filling holes.
That's all I do is I fill holes.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can't stop filling holes, just spackling up holes with your masculine alpha energy. And you say, why do I still feel empty? Who's filling you? Who's filling your holes? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Now, the nice thing is if you get this gender flexibility, again, people aren't used to it, you can always get into pegging with a partner. Just, do you know pegging?
No, I don't know much about it.
Pegging is, of course, when in a typical cis-het relationship.
What? I'm sorry?
Cis hetero. A cis male or cis female is somebody whose inner sense of gender aligns with the physical form that you were gifted upon birth. Does that make sense?
Sure.
It's the opposite. It's the opposite of trans.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
And cis-hetero. So if there's a man and a woman in a typical cis-het relationship, and a man needs a good unblocking or needs to be filled the way his yin energy requires, your partner can use a strap-on dildo and bend you over, or not. You can just tuck your knees up to your chest and just get banged in the butt a little bit. And then I suggest the butt banging involves some syncopated breathing, a lot of eye contact, and stimulate that prostate. Just fill your holes. You'll be amazed.
I'll bring this up to my wife.
I'll tell you, to really set it home, they have some kits you can make a mold of your own genitals.
Okay.
And so you can basically fuck yourself through your wife. You can go fuck yourself, and it's really a powerful emotional experience. It's going to unlock your spirit.
Having somebody else fuck me, fuck myself.
Just go fuck yourself with yourself. Yeah.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
It's like a snake eating its own tail.
It's really profound. I've done it.
Have you ever fucked yourself?
Absolutely. And higher levels of practice, with two rivers. There'd be a rigorous course of dieting leading up to this sometimes, so you could match each other's bodies, and there's some higher level special effects makeup. So I don't know if you've seen. I don't know if you've ever seen Mrs. Doubtfire, but something along those lines. You can really transform a face. Uh-huh. And so I've really fucked myself. I've looked into my own eyes. There's contacts to match color, and some great latex work, and my own dick. Even with two, he just used the dildo over his own stuff.
Right.
And it's profound. People say it all the time. I mean, if you met your clone, if you met a twin self,
yeah,
what would you do? And would that even, it's just masturbation at that point.
I gotcha. I can see that.
Yeah.
Are you a believer in the Kinsey scale of human sexuality?
Yeah. I think that's just great if it helps people accept
well, I think they're just, maybe what I'm trying to say is, people are always trying to find a way to compartmentalize or come up with a system to express.
Right. And I'm not so interested in. Here's my issue with modern empirical approaches to issues such as this. It's not holistic. It's all about breaking things down into their individual parts. How can we isolate and label this thing? How can we say, oh, this is a 2, this is a 6, separate us into groups. We're all one thing. We're all part of the same big ball of energy, or balls of energy, if you like to think of it that way. Balls and ovaries and eggs of energy. And these things, the more we can dissolve the barriers between each other, the better. And that's why I don't believe in condoms.
Ooh. So let's touch upon that for a second.
Right.
So do you ever feel like you're at risk for spreading social diseases? I mean, there was a period of time where it was before my time, before I was out there fucking, but
right.
Pre-AIDS, it seemed like it was a lot loose. People were a lot looser. They weren't uptight.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, fast forward to the early 90s, late 80s, right. And all of a sudden, everybody's freaking out.
Well, here's where it gets a little controversial for some people.
Of course.
The great creator, to the great creation, life is a life. Okay? The value of a human life is no heavier or lighter than the value of a dog's life, or cat's life, a goldfish's life, and keep going smaller, a fly's life, a gnat's life, and keep going smaller, a virus or a bacteria's life. If I can facilitate the growth of life in all its diverse and beautiful forms, it's just all part of the same energy, So if I give somebody a bacterial infection, for instance, gonorrhea, which I have, we're really just...
Do you have an active infection?
I'm not going through an outbreak right now, but I do host gonorrhea bacteria.
Okay.
That's really just more vibrant life. I like to think of it like Fern Gully in there, these little fairy creatures just flitting around, and when it burns, they're just having a fire festival, They're just celebrating.
They're celebrating
their elements, right. Their life, their vibrancy.
How long have you been a sex worker or sex healer?
Going on about 12 years now.
12 years?
Yeah.
How did you get into sex healing?
Oh, well, so yeah, it was with Two Rivers up there. He introduced me to a lot of things, and as we got into our shamanic work with the mushrooms and ayahuasca and sweat lodges and fucking each other a lot, I don't know, things just started to melt away, and he was kind of my guru. He was my Mr. Miyagi. I waxed on and waxed off with him quite a bit. And, and Two introduced me to singing goats, and she was wonderful. And there was another teacher I had, Guru Makti Shivaraksna, more of an Eastern approach. That's where I got into doing some of the tantric work and the singing, the kirtan chanting, and that also led me to the ASMR practices, which is just, I don't know if you're familiar with ASMR, but
a little bit.
It's a very sexual kind of thing that people can really get into. It really helps with sensual sexual touch. Stuff like that. So, and you just kind of flit around teacher to teacher and try to improve people's lives, try to dissolve boundaries, try to return us all to the same primordial muck of oneness.
So once you got initiated into the work, I mean, how do you go about business development? How do you find clients? How do you charge for something like this?
Well,
I mean, I assume this is your job. Like, this is your profession.
It's my profession. I sometimes you have day jobs here and there. I've worked in quite a few macrobiotic cafes. I've been a barista. I've taught some yoga here and there. But sometimes you just live in somebody's guest house, and give them hand jobs, basically. That's the easiest way to explain it. Otherwise, like I said, it depends on the commitment required from some people. It can be as much as thousands of dollars a day, depending how in depth they need the work to go. And sometimes you just have a place to sleep for the night.
Do you?
You do a lot of pro bono work too.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
pro bono work is an integral part of this, because, like I said, I really got into it for the love of the game. It's the love of human beings. Like I said, hurt people, heal people, and you walk around and you see a lot of hurt, broken people who need mending. And it's just hard to resist that. It's really, being a sex healer is just like being any other kind of doctor. There's kind of a Hippocratic oath, do no harm. It's like, if somebody's in need, I'm going to heal them.
With your penis.
As much as I can, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Or fingers.
Of
Hands,
course.
tongue, a lot of tongue stuff. The nose, you can do a lot with your nose.
Really?
People don't know about. Oh, yeah. Elbows. There's some great hip work.
Sure, hip work I can
Sometimes
understand.
I'll affix a phallus to my forehead. It's called a scrunicorn.
Oh, yes, I've heard about the scrunicorn.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. I actually may have experienced that when I was in Amsterdam as
great.
a young man.
Did you?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
I may or may not have been on stage at the world-famous Banana Bar.
Banana Bar's great.
Yeah. Have you been there?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Were you, did you receive the scrunicorn? Or were you
I've done both.
Okay.
I was a banana most of the time at the Banana Bar. I was one of the world-famous bananas.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
of course. Amazing place.
People step on your dick and slip on it.
Yep.
Be a banana. That's the peel when you're being the peel.
Right. No, I got it.
Yeah. Brat falls. That's a sensual thing.
Sensual place.
Sensual thing. Healing thing.
So, does anybody keep you on retainer for like a period of time where you're just like, they know that they're going to need a lot of work, and they're just like, you know what? Here's $10,000. Let's make our way through this.
I did a lot of work with Steve Jobs' company.
Okay.
I forget the name of it. Before he passed away, but I was on call there, and a lot of the tech industry, Palo Alto, Google. Just sometimes they'll just hire me to come hang around the offices and set up my tent.
You use a tent for your
because you need to create a safe space, and so I ordain it. I use Palo Santo wood and sage and various mystical rocks.
Pills or potions to sort of...
Pills and potions, yes, of course. Yes, ointments, liniments, lubricants. And you just are there to work for people.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I assume that's when you're working for these big tech companies, the
nice thing about these tech companies and when working on the West Coast and getting out of shitholes like Tucson is that there's a lot of acceptance of abstract ways of thinking, of approaching life, of healing. So you don't have to deal with as much of the puritanical legislative sort of nonsense. These people are they don't work in cubicles. They work in giant glass rooms.
Mm-hmm.
They work with round tables. They work in hammocks. So they're ready to get fucked during a work day just to get the craved juices flowing. I can't tell you how much code has been written because of my hand jobs.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Do you service these people in broad daylight, or do you?
Like I said, we create a sacred space.
Okay.
And again, I hate the idea that it's not about separating us from the workspace. It's not about creating barriers, because that is the antithesis of what I do. I'm about dissolving barriers. I'm about melting together. It is about creating a safe, ordained space, because the world we've created of chrome and steel and stone, it can be so restrictive. It's really just so closed off. Again, the alpha energy of only fucking, of never being fucked, is something we need to create a safe space away from. So we create a chalk circle inside of our little tent, and it gets steamy in there.
I'm sure it does.
Oh yeah, but that's part of the beauty of it. Again, bringing that wetness in, bringing that moisture in. Mother Earth, I'll say it again, I've said it before, is a squirter.
I think that's actually going to be the hashtag for this episode, is Mother Earth is a squirter.
Get wet.
Get wet. You know what? Let's do it. Get wet.
Get wet. Higher
Get
consciousness through harder contact.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like that. You should, if you haven't already, you should trademark that. That's really good.
Absolutely. It's all trademark.
I'm always thinking about revenue streams, so,
Sure. I'm thinking about different kinds of streams.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Different kinds of ropes. I want to talk about your name a little bit. You sort of touched
Aspen
upon
Coywolf, sure.
your last name,
Coywolf?
Coywolf, which was a coyote-wolf hybrid.
That's right. They are a sort of a new species to North America, and they thrive in cities, which is strange. Most of civilization has really pushed out the natural world, the bison, the wolf, for instance. But the coy wolf has become an incredibly successful species among the hard world. So, two saw that in me, Two Rivers. And then the Aspen comes from, I do have a natural sort of affinity for ass work. So there's sort of a play on words there. But really it comes from the nature of the aspen tree, which I don't know if you know, but they grow in these incredible groves where they're all connected underneath the earth. It's not just, it looks like hundreds of trees, but it's all one organism tied together at the roots. And of course, the bark is a natural analgesic. It's a painkiller. That's where we get aspirin from. And
that's right, the aspen tree.
Yeah. So that's the healing aspect, and that's how I became Aspen Coywolf.
So obviously, Aspen Coywolf is not your not the name you were born with.
No.
What was your birth name?
Tom Donald.
Tom Donald. Doesn't sound nearly as regal as Aspen Coywolf.
It's not my name. I don't consider it. It was that's just one of the many shackles I threw off in really becoming integrated into the universe.
How old were you when you threw off those shackles and you were hanging out with Two and
19.
19?
19, yeah.
And that's when you took on your new identity.
Well, I met Two when I was 19, 20, and it wasn't until I was 23, 24 that I was christened with my true name.
Got it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about orgasmic meditation.
Yeah.
This is something that's, I don't know about if our listener has come across this, but it's a concept that's really come about in pop culture.
It's very popular.
It's there's a revival of it recently, and we even have one locally, an institute.
The Oming. I think it's great. I think it's great on a whole. I think of it the way I think of CrossFit. I don't know if you're familiar, right, with the physical.
I am, yes.
Culture. CrossFit takes a lot of great ideas, gymnastics and weightlifting and all these wonderful physical practices, and then sort of just mushes them all together into a commercialized version of itself. And that's maybe not the smartest or most nuanced approach to a thing, but hey, it's getting people trying new. It's getting people cultivating intensity. It's getting people doing the Olympic lifts. It's getting people working hard in these ways. So that's great. The awareness it's spread. But it really lacks, I think, that's what I think about orgasmic meditation. It's great to get people thinking about the world in a more present way, in a constantly sort of always fucking attitude. I think that's great. I think it's great that they're sitting down with their partners and just touching their bodies in specific ways. The 2 o'clock position on the clitoris, for instance, and just lightly just petting that kitty for periods of time and basking in that yin energy. I think it's great that they're getting men off of their more alpha energy, this only yin all the time, just starting to bask in only yang all the time, basking in the yin energy of the female orgasm. Wonderful. I just don't know. It just doesn't compare to the shamanic sex work that we're doing in the rainforests of Washington.
Do you feel like they're tainting the name?
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I think anytime you are making money off a thing like that, you can't help but raise an eyebrow. You know, some of us really could use a hand sometimes. Some of us who have dedicated our lives to it. But hey, you know, more power to them. More power to them.
Do you see yourself doing sexual healing for the rest of your life?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, sure. I don't know how long that life will be. I host a lot of diseases inside of me, but that doesn't bother me. You know, it's a samurai approach to a thing. You're in service to your retainer. You consider your own physical body being destroyed every day, and that puts me in flow and presence in a sexual relationship, constant congress with the world around me. And I look forward to my return to the soil, you know?
Do you see yourself ever, I mean, do you have a partner? I mean, do you have...
I think the world is my partner. I think I'm constantly... You know what? It's hard to hold down a person in this life because you have a giant hole inside of you that you're constantly trying to fill. And, you know, so you just dump everything inside it that you can find and hope that it fills you up.
Sounds like there's a little bit of a hole.
There's a huge gaping hole. Yeah, and I just
a giant gaper?
Just a big gape. Just a gape. That's the word, agape.
That's where it comes from,
just
right?
being open like that. Yeah, constantly, just ready to receive, constantly.
So you don't see yourself settling down to one partner anytime soon?
Oh no, yeah, I mean that's impossible. No one can.
It seems like that would be impossible to do so, given your line of work, just because, at least, you know, in our social construct of Western culture and puritanicalism, it would be, you know, it just runs antithetical to
right.
to everything that you do.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't believe in boundaries. I don't believe in different human beings. Even I think that we're all sort of the same thing. We're all part of the same organism. So when I, you know, end up inside someone else, or someone's inside of me to create this balm for each other's souls. That balm comes from a rejoining with oneness, with the universe. I mean, from the moment you're ripped out of the womb, the trauma of birth is you need to be healed.
What do you sort of do to bring that about? I mean, is there something you can do to sort of heal that?
I think it helps to reenact the birth, you know, which is a very wet endeavor. It helps to have a larger, because usually you're an adult when you're doing this, a woman that makes you feel like a baby, so a giant woman. It's good if it's a woman. It can be a man filling the woman role, but just large to make you feel like a baby. Couch cushions, a lot of lubricant, you know, for the fluids, and you just you squeeze a person between them. And you have to get through. You have to get out of the couch cushions with the giant people weighing down on you. And when you come out, you're wet, you're tired, you're squished into all these crazy ways. And it's, you know, a way of processing the trauma of birth as an adult, with an adult mind. And then usually we fuck afterwards.
Okay. It seems, what part does the fucking have to do with the healing of the trauma of birth?
Oh, it's just close the circle. You know, you reenact the thing that it initiated the birth in the first place.
Okay, I see where you go. Okay, yeah. No, that makes total sense.
Just
no, I see. I was going to see if we could if we could,
coming feels good too. Just coming feels good.
In general?
Just feels good to come. So
Yeah. So it seems, I mean...
It's a moment of escape from the hard, cold, shitty reality that we all have to... Just in that moment of fucking coming is great. So I have to try to do that a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So...
It's healing. It's healing. It's healing. It's healing. It's healing. It's healing.
Hold on.
It's healing to jizz. It's healing to come.
Aspen, it's it seems as though you're more focused on coming. I mean, what it really boils down to is that you just like to fuck.
Well, absolutely, it boils down to that. But I mean, that's what I'm trying to explain is that's
no. If you cut away all this woo-woo bullshit, and I'm
right, sure.
And listen, I'm an open person.
Great, yeah, good. It's good. A gape.
Yes, I am very, very agape.
Great.
I am a giant gape of openness.
Just ready to receive.
Yes, I'm just ready. That's all I am. It seems as though you just like to fuck things.
I do. This and that can also be true. Sure. Am I a sex addict? Good question. I think about it. I think about it sometimes.
Has anyone ever brought it up to your attention?
No, I don't. Again, I don't believe in those programs, the 12 steps, because like the Kinsey scale, it's separating things into numbers and I just don't believe in that. I just think
you don't
it's
believe
not
in numbers.
Holistic. I know they exist.
Okay.
I know that as a concept, but Two Rivers, for instance, he's got one in his name, so he's real,
right?
But yeah, I just think it's a patriarchal, puritanical kind of thing. And
have you ever been to treatment for your sex addiction?
No, of course not. I have no interest in this alleged addiction. Yeah.
Have you lost friends or family because of your addiction?
I don't have family. That's for sure. Two Rivers is my only family, but I ended up having to leave.
What do your friends think about what you do for work?
I don't really have friends. I have people that are around until we fuck, and then they're usually gone. Because I finished healing them. We finished healing together, so they moved. Does that make sense? Because here's what it is. I'm a vortex for people who need to be healed. Because I'm a sex healer, they're attracted to my healing energy. So they come to me broken, hurt. I heal them with sex. That's with fucking, and then they go away because they don't need me anymore. Because I've served the purpose that they require. I've healed them.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Seems like a kind of lonely existence. I mean, not having...
No, not at all, because I'm constantly in flow with my universe. I'm not lonely at all, not at all. No, when I'm alone, I'm just in orgasm with my universe. I'm just breathing in and out and feeling, like I said, with the cell phone calls that enter my brain or the, advertisers on the corner spinning the signs. It's all of them, just fucking all of them, energetically.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm never alone. I don't feel lonely at all.
Okay.
No, I don't feel lonely at all.
It's just one of those things that, when I go through life, and maybe that's just my my boundaries.
Sure. Well, how much trauma healing have you done? How much have you fucked away your pain enough? Do you think?
I did for a couple years.
Well, what made you stop? See, there's fear. That's fear.
No, actually, I met my wife.
That's fear. That's fear. That's fear. That's definitely fear.
Being in a healthy, committed relationship.
That's just fear. That's just fear driving you. Yeah, you just got to get past that fear. You got to be past that fear to heal your pain.
I mean, I don't want to go toe to toe with you on that, but I mean, I just think that
agree to disagree. But yeah,
being in a healthy, committed relationship.
That's your fear.
With open communication.
That's just your fear and pain. That's just your
addressing
trauma.
Intimacy.
No, you're not healing your trauma. That's your problem right there. You're balming it. See. You're just using that. You're using that real life human being as Band-Aid, and you're saying, "Hey, Band-Aid, don't fuck anybody else because I need you as a Band-Aid. I'm using you to just avoid my trauma and my fear."
Wow, I've never thought about it that
way.
way.
You should think about it that way. See,
okay.
Like you're just the numbers, the Kinsey. You're just using it to isolate. You're just using it to not live. I'm just
I wish we had met prior, a year and a half ago.
It's all right. It's going to be a lot to unpack. But
yeah, one day
we'll work on extricating both of you from the situation, and it's all love. It's all love. It's all about love. I mean, if you're interested, I can totally assist you.
Okay.
Both of you.
Got it.
I would love to help both of you.
You
just want to heal you. I want to heal you so bad.
You've seen a picture of my wife, have you?
Both of you. I just want to get you guys alone in my tent and just heal the shit out of you. Just heal you so hard. Just gonna fucking heal for hours. I got a Viagra hookup. It helps the healing.
That was what I was going to ask. We're rounding third here, but I just wanted to talk about that. Given your line of work,
Sure.
Do you have to use any sort of performance enhancers in order
Sometimes,
to?
yeah, sometimes, of course.
I mean, what if you have multiple sessions in a day?
That's right.
Your hands
I'm
get
gonna
tired.
I'm gonna be honest. Most of the time, I don't have trouble. For whatever it is. However I was made, that thing just fucking does what I tell it to. I'm, of course, referring to my
Your giant
enormous
dick.
dick.
Yeah.
It's just fucking.
Do you
so
talk
big.
to it? Like, I mean,
We commune. I do believe we have a symbiotic relationship. Yeah. Are you ever familiar with Spider-Man?
yes,
Do you know what Venom is?
yes.
That's a symbiote.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with the concept.
Yeah, it's a symbiote. It's it like lives in there and it talks. Carnage is also a symbiote. So it's a lot like that.
Okay.
I have dreams sometimes my dick is teeth. It talks to me. We go back and forth.
Venom is a scary ass.
So is my dick.
Yeah.
There's that. Again,
Is that the name of your dick?
Venom? No,
Carnage?
Venom and Carnage. It goes back. My dick has a name that cannot be pronounced in this tongue, and the tongues of Earth. Only it's created it's written in the darkest night, from the deepest, most Icarus pits, where the old ones slumber. Sorry,
It's okay. It's all right. We all have our, dare I say, secrets?
that's right. It's an unspeakable name. I met my dick in with Two Rivers. I'd never met my dick before. I thought my dick was a part of me in a non-symbiotic way. I thought it was just an appendage, like a finger. But it was one of our ayahuasca trips, and that's when I met.
That's when you came into communion.
He who
with...
cannot be named.
Got it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Aspen, I want to thank you for coming and doing my podcast.
Hey, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And
It's been orgasmic. I've came 3 times at least during this podcast.
that's what an enlightening thing. I hope our audience got everything that I got out of this, because
Take it in.
I came here one way, and I'm leaving after this podcast. I'm feeling a lot more enlightened.
Yeah. Great.
And sexually open.
Yeah, just think about your fears. Think about those fear responses. Anytime you're afraid of something, you're supposed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what fear is for. It says, do it. You know? That's what it's for. In
Excellent.
evolution, it's a spiritual evolution. If you're afraid of it, do it.
If
Angrily. Ferociously, just fucking do it. Take it.
do it.
That's why I believe my He Who Must Not Be Named is so terrifying to people. Nothing comes out and they get scared. Just fucking do it. Fucking gonna heal you.
Gonna heal you. Aspen Coywolf, thank you so much for doing
Steve
my
Thomas,
podcast.
thank you. My pleasure. It's great to be here. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
This has been an Ozzy Cobb Media production. Executive producers Noah Kinsey and Brian Nicholas. For more information, visit ozzycobb.com.